Welcome, Kerri.
Oh no, absolutely. I also think at the time, this was the 70s and early 80s, which was, there was a very strong women's movement in the United States, a lot of work around justice and equity, a lot of work around reproductive rights. And so it felt natural to be in opposition a lot of times, to fight. I mean, women were fighting for their rights in every sphere. So it felt natural to fight in sport, and we were. And we also didn't have the same kind of oversight that sport has today. We had to govern ourselves. I'm working on the U.S. Women's History Project, and looking at those years, it's very interesting how so much was done by women who were very young, 20, 21, 22, and that was kind of the common age for a rugby player, a women's rugby player at that time. And so we were really creating the first governing structures, we were growing the sport. So yeah, it felt really natural to have to fight every step of the way. I think this is a weird word to say, but I think it's the nobility of the effort. I think a lot of coaches try and tell young women like, oh, it's going to be okay, don't be afraid. But I really try and impress on them that they come from a legacy and a history of women who really fought for this to happen, and that this game is really hard, and it's going to test their courage, but they're up for it. I don't care how big they are, how small they are, they're up for it. And to try and impress upon them, this is going to potentially change your life. It's going to change how you think about yourself. So it's kind of, again, the nobility of the effort. Let's get on with this, because it's going to be life-changing. I think the liberation, the freedom of rugby is kind of summed up in this sense of belief in yourself. I think in many instances when I was young, I did what other people wanted me to do, whether that was sport or school, which is very common. You don't know what you want, really. You just do what other people tell you want. And I think rugby was very liberating in that no one wanted me to do it. And so when I started playing rugby, I think I got a better sense of what I wanted to do and what I was capable of. So it was kind of this belief in myself. The most iconic figure in U.S. women's rugby, Kathy Flores, passed away in October. And Kathy was a really close friend of mine. And her passing has really shaken up the whole women's rugby community. We're all really kind of mourning her passing, but I think Kath would be really impressed that her death has brought the community together in so many ways. We've started a movement around Tell Her Story, which is 52 women you should know in rugby, and Kath is the first one. So my object in this picture hangs on my wall in my office, I think the glare, but that's Kathy with the headband running with the ball, and that's in the white jersey, and that's me directly behind her in the white jersey. We were teammates on the national team, and this is the first national team ever. It was called Wyverns, and that's when we were not allowed to be the national team, but we went ahead and created a kind of national invitational side. And this picture is from our first match in England against an English team. But my object is a picture of the most iconic and influential woman in the U.S. rugby scene. And she was, not surprisingly, my dear teammate and dear friend for many, many years. So that sense of family, I considered Kath family. She was always at my house. My kids loved her. We'd walk in the door with her dogs, and she was just family. And so, an object. It was interesting when you asked that question, because I thought, well, I have trophies in the attic and I have medals, but the things that I keep out for people to see and the things that I look at are photos. And the photo that I think I really love the most is this picture of Kath and I on that first national team. Fate whispers to the warrior, "You cannot withstand the storm." The warrior whispers back, "I am the storm."
One rugby.
One love.